Are you one of the 75% of contractors whose financial statements are inaccurate? Find out. Click on the link in the show notes and you'll get a free P&L and balance sheet check.
This is Contractor Sense with Ruth King.
Welcome to Contractor Sense. Here you discover ideas, tactics, news, and information that matters to your contracting business and you. I'm your host, Ruth King. This episode is sponsored by Financially Fit Business. Get the business tool that helps you grow profitably, build wealth, and significantly impact your life and the life of your employees. Go to www.financiallyfit.business and get started today. Thank you for joining us. Here is how we will help your business and you. What should your business be spending on software? Are you spending too much? Too little? More important, what should you expect the software to do? And most important, will it help you operate your business profitably? My guest, Weston Zimmerman, will answer these questions and more. Weston is the co-founder and CEO of SynkedUp, an award-winning landscaping business management software that helps contractors know their numbers, systematize their pricing, and cut estimating time by up to 90%, resulting in predictable profits. Weston and I have the same passion, cleaning up and keeping contractors' financial statements clean, so you can make good financial decisions based on accurate numbers. Weston, welcome to Contractor Sense.
Hey, thanks for having me, Ruth. I'm looking forward to this. I really like you introduced this, and I'm looking forward to the questions you have and the discussion we'll have.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you and I have the same passion. We both want to clean up financials. Where did you get your passion for it? I'll tell you where I got mine, but let me have your answer to that first.
Well, maybe I suspect I might come at it from a different motivation or a different angle than you have. I don't know, but like where I got it is like, I just want to make sure that we're pricing our jobs correctly. I do it because I want to make money, not because I take pride in a beautifully organized P&L statement. I mean, that's kind of a necessary means to an end for me. More like I enjoy the craft, I enjoy the work. I worked for 15 years out in the field, and I wanted to, and I also want that for every other contractor out there, to be able to do that work out in the field, to take pride in our craftsmanship, but then actually also make money at it. Because like too many people, like the status quo is we focus on all the tactics and making sure we do high quality work, high, degree of training and a lot of expensive equipment. But then we're mystified when we get to the end of the year and we're like, how on earth did I process more revenue than I ever had before, but I'm not making any money? Where's the cash? Where did it all go?
Yeah, it's like your accountant called you on April 15th and said, you owe the feds X. And you go, where is it?
Yeah. How do I owe them money on money I never made?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it is so true with people who start in the field and don't, they start because there's a passion for what they do. And the financials is the last thing they ever think of, but it's the financials that will keep them in business, whether they like it or not.
That's right. And like SynkedUp as a software product, it's about automating that so that you don't have to feel like you have to go become a spreadsheet guru or an accounting expert to make money. Don't worry about it. The software will take care of it. Just answer a few questions about what it costs your business to stay open. And SynkedUp will automate that math so that you can go back out and do what you love doing anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. It will take care of your pricing for you and that sort of thing. And then we get the P&Ls and I take over on the back end.
Yes. Now we can scratch your itch on the making sure those P&Ls look crystal, crisp and clean and tell the story accurately and all of that.
Yeah, well, the thing is that doesn't take that much time either. It's just looking at the graphs and figuring out what they're doing. All right, let's get into this, okay? Now that you've all heard both of our passions, and he's got the front side, I've got the back side, let's talk about software in general, because there's so many contractors out there who goes, you got to be kidding. I don't want to spend any money on software. I mean, do you really think it's spending or do you think it's investing?
Well, I think the correct answer to that question is, what do you think? Meaning the person that's listening to this, because it's a mindset thing. I can't change your mind. I can tell you the power of changing your mindset on it, but at the end of the day, I can't change your mind. The mindset has to come from within. It has to come from the owner of the company. But I can tell you stories after stories after stories of contractor A and contractor B and the different mindsets and how it impacted them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a question, do you want to work for wages or do you want to make money?
Yeah, or do you want to own a business, or do you want the business to own you? At the end of 30 years, do you want to have something to you look,
Sell.
I built this and either I created assets with it or it's a sellable asset, or is it like, man, wow, I paid my house off, I bought my groceries, but not much else.
Yeah, one of the things I absolutely hate doing is telling contractors who've been working at it for they're in their 60s and their business is worth nada
Yeah,
because they haven't built up, what's necessary to keep the business in business. I liken it to them to they bought a job. They have a hobby. They don't
yeah,
have a business.
that's right. They own a job at
Yeah.
best. Yeah, and the difference between owning a job and owning a business is systems and processes. And the bar to cross with systems and processes is, can someone else other than you do it?
Yeah.
If someone else can do it, welcome to owning a business.
Yeah. Can the business operate without you?
Yeah.
That's really the question. If the answer is yes, then and it operates profitably without you. Let's put it that way. How's that?
Yeah. I guess I've heard I don't even remember, I can't say it enough. I don't remember it well enough to repeat it perfectly, but the does your business pass the fishing test? Can you go fishing for a week whenever you want without notice and the business keeps running?
Profitably,
Yep.
without imploding, which are the two most important things. All right, so I assume, no, I should not assume. How did SynkedUp get started? Let's start there.
Well, I started working for a company called Tussie Landscaping when I was 16. And at the time, this was back in 2007. And at the time, the business was your typical owner operator business that did not pass the fishing test.
Okay.
And we were less than 1 million in revenue with 7 to 10 guys. So, the typical owner operator business that you find all across North America.
Yep.
And at the time, I was not an owner. I was an employee, to be clear. And I've never been an owner of Tussie Landscaping. But over the years, I kind of worked my way into, various roles that had owned various departments in the company. And one of those was the pursuit of, okay, cool. How do like we take pride in our work, but how do we make sure we're making money at it? And so we would go off into seminars. Charles Vanderkoy was a famous consultant back in the day that did these overhead recovery seminars, and it's commonly coined as multiple overhead recovery MORS. And we started doing that on spreadsheets and paper and all of that. And really long story short, we were struggling with marrying the back office with the front office. And what I mean by that is, first, we solved the back office problem, meaning we're pricing our work correctly based on properly recovering our overhead to find our break even and then adding a profit to our break even. But then we had a hard time with marrying the front office, meaning the field work, like the schedule and
Mm-hmm.
getting the information to the team in a timely manner. And so we would use various products on the software market. Some of them solved the back office problem just fine. Some of them solved the front field operations just fine, but none of them did the whole thing. And my dad had a telecommunications company that he sold, and he went to go work for that telecommunications company. And when I remember coming home from work one day in the middle of this dilemma, and I saw him clicking on some grass on his laptop. He was sitting on the back patio after dinner, working on his laptop. And I was curious, and I was asking him what he was doing. And here he was testing a software project that the new company that had bought him out, that he was now working for, was working on. And I was like, whoa, you mean you can just kind of define what it is you want the tool to do and get people to build it? And he's like, yep. And so that's where the light bulb went off. Very naive moment, mind you. I had no idea what I had no idea the vision that I had and what it would cost in time and money and energy. But here we are. That moment was 7 or 8 years ago, and today we're serving over 500 customers all across North America, and literally have story after story of businesses that went from bankruptcy to went from surviving to thriving. And so basically what SynkedUp does and what our vision was is to end entrepreneurial poverty, to create a tool that can allow contractors that love to focus on their craft to also make money
Yeah,
and
minor
automate it.
detail.
Yeah. And so today, but we want to do so in solving both the boring back office math stuff, while also giving powerful tools to the front field production, scheduling, job information, pictures, material lists, all of that stuff, tracking time. And really, what SynkedUp does in a nutshell is price your jobs profitably, automatically, and then track the jobs to help you understand where you went wrong and where you went right on your individual estimate. Because you can screw up profit in a business two different ways. One is in the math,
Hmm.
the other one is in the resources in your estimate. And what I mean by that is you could go solve the math problem perfectly. You have math that is perfect on paper. All your overhead's getting recovered, your profit is planned for. But then if you bid and sell a job for 100 man hours, let's say, and then it takes you 150 to complete it, you
You
still.
lost.
And so synced up is in solving both of those problems, both the math problem and the resources in your estimate and how much it takes to produce the job.
Got it. Before we take a break, if somebody wants to get in contact with you, how can they do that?
Well, me personally, I'm pretty active on Instagram. So I'm the one behind the Synced Up Instagram account, and you
Okay.
spell that SYNKEDUP.com, or that's the handle, and then syncedup.com is the website. So you can, go down the rabbit hole of all our case studies and customer videos and testimonials and how the software actually works on the website, syncedup.com.
Okay.
If you want to talk to me directly, just DM me on Instagram.
Sounds great. We'll be right back. Thanks for listening to Contractor Sense. Imagine you had total freedom. You didn't have to worry about money. You didn't have to be a slave to your business. The words, I can't, are eliminated from your vocabulary. What if you could do what you want to do, whenever you want to do it? A financially fit business could give you that freedom. How? By knowing what your financial statements are telling you and taking action based on what they say. You can do this in less than 10 minutes a month at an investment of less than taking your family out to dinner once a month. And if your financial statements are a mess, you can get help. Go to www.financiallyfit.business or click on the QR code below to get started today. We're back. Thanks for listening to Contractor Sense. I am talking with Weston Zimmerman, who is the co-founder and CEO of SynkedUp, an award-winning landscaping business management software. Well, you might say, okay, it's landscaping business, but the principles are the same, whatever software that you use. It does not matter. I mean, you got to be profitable. Your jobs have to be priced right, and you have to track labor. And tracking labor is the most important thing to make sure that you come out profitably. But all right, let's go back to our original premise. All right. So when you look at a software package, what should the questions that should come to your mind to make sure that I'm investing in a package that is right for me?
Well, I think too often, as a contractor, we look at things like software and widgets and gadgets, and it feels like we're spending money on something that's not tangible, or we think the software should be free or whatever. Like it feels like if we're signing up to spend a ton of money on software, it feels like we're spending our fun money or what would have been my profit had I not bought the software, instead of viewing it as an investment. And I know we don't have time for it, but I could tell you story after story of how a customer spent $1 with SynkedUp and turned it into 10 or $20.
Yeah.
And that is the power of buying the shoe that fits the foot, meaning you buy the tool that actually matches your needs and helps you cut off cash leaks or be more efficient. And in SynkedUp, it's such a dramatic turnaround because you can go from a contractor typically goes from guessing what their hourly rates should be and what their markups should be to knowing down to the penny what they should be. And often what we discover in that process is like, oh my goodness, I was charging way too little. And sometimes the opposite effect is they come through that phase of buying synced up as a software and they're like, well, I will never be able to charge the rates that synced up tells me to charge. And then it's like, well, okay, that could be true. You have two choices. Either be more efficient with the overhead infrastructure you have and the trucks you have and the team you have and produce more revenue without increasing your overhead costs, or cut costs. And often what it does is it just exposes the truth of like, I've I've built budgets for people that are $1 million a year business and they have $2 million worth of asset equipment and stuff. It's like,
Yeah,
you have an equipment addiction,
yeah, absolutely.
So,
So, the thing that's really interesting is that when contractors look at it and they go, I can't charge that. Well, they have been so undercharging, they're just afraid to charge what needs to be happening.
yeah,
And so a lot of times what I do is I take pricing away from owners and I give it to somebody internally and say, use this formula.
yeah,
And lo and behold, guess what?
it
They can
works.
charge that. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
because
enter it in software like yours, and guess what? It works.
yeah, because you transition from an emotional formula
Yeah.
to a mathematical formula.
Yep.
And oftentimes people feel pretty apprehensive when they're sending their first quote. And then there's like this moment they were like, well, you know what? I don't care. I'm just going to send it. And they just hit send. And then 20 minutes later, the thing comes back approved. And like, oh my goodness, I've been leaving so much money on the table all these years. And so it's
Yep.
just really rewarding to watch that play out. So what happens is, to answer your question of how do you know how much you should spend, the question is, okay, how much money can this tool make me either in savings, correcting my pricing, or making me more efficient? And what I mean by more efficient is the more the production side or the resources side. Maybe I go from spending 2 hours to build a quote to 10 minutes. And by the way, that happens all the time in SynkedUp. You literally, take what used to be an hours long process and you're missing dinner and you're working till midnight. And it's like, oh, I just did it while I was on my phone out in the job site because it was so fast and easy.
Yeah.
Or getting information to the team that's doing the work out in the field, meaning the material list is at their fingertips, the schedule's at their fingertips, the address to the job site's at their fingertips, the pictures to the work and the design is at their fingertips. And that results in minimizing unnecessary truck runs back to the shop or to supply yards to pick things up because they can plan better and the information that they need is right at their fingertips.
Yep. Absolutely. Very good. So, final thoughts.
Well, I would just say the sooner you can get past making business decisions on what you should spend or buy, the sooner you can get past emotional decision making to more of like, well, maybe it seems ridiculous to spend $500 a month on a software, but I've had, I'll tell you a story. I talked to a contractor once that was debating whether they should buy SynkedUp, and in his head, the $500 a month price tag, it ranges, but I'm just using 500 as an even number. The $500 a month price tag was just huge, and he's like, I can never afford that. That just makes no sense. And I just asked him a simple question. I was like, well, how much money do you think you're losing to missing the mark on bids and labor overruns and he responded, he didn't see the connection to my question. He responded like, oh, I bet you it's 5-10 grand a month. And I'm just like, well, man, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, you're refusing to spend 500 to solve a $5,000 or $10,000 a month problem. And that's kind of my challenge is like, it's like anything. When you buy a machine, it's like, how much money can I make with it? When you buy a tool, how much labor can I save with it? When you buy XYZ, it's because how many man hours a month can I save because we're more efficient? It's as simple as that. And
Yep.
if the equation is, hey, there's more return than there is cost, awesome. There's your decision.
Very good. Weston, thank you so much for being with us. You want to go to SynkedUp, SynkedUp.com for more info. And thanks to all of you for joining us. Choose one thing that you discovered and implement it in your business. These ideas, tactics, and strategies help you make more money, have more free time, and give back. If you like today's program, spread the word. Please review this podcast on any device you're listening to it on. Help a fellow contractor make more money, too. For comments or questions, call me at 770-729-0258 or email Ruth King at hvacchannel.tv. Thanks for listening. Have a great and profitable day.